I'll try this one if it does. If it's not, if you're not rolling in the aisles, I'll stop. Early on in my study, I was trying to calculate how many different kinds of clouds there were. I'd never seen the total number. There are 10 basic cloud types. So there are 10 genera of clouds. So each genus, so we have altocumulus, cumulus, and the like. Each of those clouds also come in different species, just like animals and plants. So clouds are classified with this taxonomic system, like plants and animals. Then after we have 9 species, we have 15 varieties. And you can have a cloud that is basically a mix of species and varieties. It's not, there's no real science to it, and I could never find a list of how many kinds of clouds there were. We read that there are 10 basic clouds types, but not that there are 212 if you combine all these different names of species and varieties. I was determined to be the person that came up with that number by figuring out all the possible combinations. You can have a cloud, for instance, that's opaque, so opacus, but not also translucent or translucidus. So there was a lot of complicated if this and if that not. And I couldn't really whiteboard it in any reasonable way for an English major to figure out. So my son, who was in college at the time and had been studying calculus and had been studying astrobiology, I thought, oh, I'll grab him. He comes home for Christmas and I say, so, can you help me calculate how many clouds there are? And he said, sure. And I sat him down and I explained to him the genera, the species, and the varieties, and the if this and not that. And he said, well, let me go get my calculator. He goes out of the room, he comes back with his calculator, and I continue doing the math, and I say, well, there's 9 of these, 15 of these, 10 of these, and he starts typing the numbers in his calculator, and then he says, I'm going to need to get back to you. And he's never gotten back to me. He's never calculated how many clouds there are. I don't think the number is calculable. And that, to me, is funny, and it's wonderful that we can't actually count how many different cloud types there are. There's myriad types, all different forms. And even though we have all those Latin names, I've seen about 100 is the closest number I've ever seen about to apply to the clouds. But I know there are hundreds of thousands of cloud types. We just don't have official words for them. So that unsolved equation is sort of brings me a lot of happiness and amusement.